everyone, you're watching News Track with me, Marya Shakil. First, it was Dhurandhar in Pakistan, and now it is the Battle of Galwan in China. Our neighbors continue to feel the heat of India's soft power, and by that we mean films. Bollywood's Bhaijan is all set to return to the big screen, but this time it's not just box office buzz grabbing attention. Salman Khan's Battle of Galwan, inspired by the brutal June 2020 India-China face-off in Ladakh, has sparked a storm well beyond cinema halls, even before its release. Across the border, Beijing is upset and fuming. China's state-run media has slammed the film, questioning its narrative and accusing India of weaponizing cinema to stoke nationalism. Meanwhile, government sources tell India Today that the film has no official backing. Creative freedom applies and that the state has no role in its making. So why does a Bollywood film still hit a raw nerve in Beijing? Is this about cinema or about a clash China still can't control the narrative of? And joining me on the show tonight, Advaita, screenwriter and author. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni joins us. We also have L. Ravichandar, who is a film critic. Advaita, it's only a teaser which has been released. So why is China already reacting so strongly? What explains this early agitation?
I have no idea. I think what it acknowledges rather than explains is that Indian soft power through its cinema is extremely relevant and potent and has influence not only in the Indian subcontinent, but across the world. And that is why you have this sort of panic response from China, wherein they feel the need to issue statement after statement and really, go a little nuts.
Yes, and in going nuts, have they really jumped the gun? L. Ravichandar, here is China's state-run Global Times, which is claiming that the film distorts facts of the 2020 Galwan clash. Is this a genuine concern over accuracy, or would you say that this is an attempt to perhaps preemptively control the narrative?
Two things. Firstly, I think, globally today, cinema is a soft target. Anywhere, India included. It's now, it's when the Indian government says that it is about artistic freedom in the country, it's the devil quoting the scriptures. Umpteen number of Indian films that have been made that did not suit the theme or the political wisdom of the government in power. They've stood up, tried to ban films, starting from Tamas, Kissa Kursi Ka. I can go on, right till Sardarji 3 very recently. We're not going into that. China, I guess China is only reacting, as Advaita very rightly put it. It is a acknowledgement of how far our cinema is. Maybe they are crying wolf, but let us not forget that under the Indian Constitution, the power of the government to lay reasonable restrictions on matters that could affect friendly relationships with foreign countries is an area that the Indian government can be sensitive to. And today, I think our relationship with China, any which way, we are walking on thin ice. So it's for perhaps over a period of time, the government of India will consider that. Will it be trigger happy, or will the External Affairs Ministry deal with it and tell them that this is only a piece of fiction? Is a different ballgame altogether.
Okay. So for the moment, what sources are saying is that this is art and the government will not be intervening in it. So Lieutenant General Kulkarni, the dismissal of Colonel Santosh Babu's role as so-called pivotal is in fact drawing some very sharp reactions. From a military standpoint, sir, why would highlighting individual bravery be so sensitive for China?
Thank you very much. I think China is nervous because China intends to tell the world that it's someone that they matter now. They are the second largest economy in the world. They intend to portray a good image of themselves, and this barbaric behavior, this uncalled for, unjustified killing of Colonel Babu, and now being portrayed on the scene by Salman. And they know fully well that movies like Dhurandhar, which are fetched over 1,000 crores, make a tremendous impact, and that the kind of cinematic effect and whatever it be so, it is more than anything else. It's something which obviously the movie will be cleared by the Minister of Defense before it is even screened, for that matter. But the fact remains that Chinese don't want to now be seen as barbaric. Chinese don't want to be seen as something that, because the 1996 agreement was very clear that we would not fire on each other, that we would not have things of those kinds along the LAC. But what did the Chinese do? The Chinese brought weapons on the sense, all crude iron rods, barbed wire, welded nails to those barbed wires. What is that indicative? We don't carry all these kind of things. Surely speaks very poorly of China. And who would ever do such a thing along the LAC? It would be only done if the Western Theatre Commander there or Xi Jinping, who is the CMC chairman, who would pass orders. Nobody can do such a thing. You think a soldier has a audacity to do, whichever country he might belong to. So that's where China is nervous. That's where China feels that the world would know that this is the kind of barbaric behavior 1996 agreement China doesn't adhere to. And just because it was said there would be no firing, look what these Chinese have done. I think that's what makes China nervous. Otherwise, it's a movie. Nothing matters. It's a movie in which facts, well, of course, will not be exaggerated. China is nervous. That's what I would say. And nothing more than that the Chinese need not worry. They are worried because they have done something which is wrong. And that is what...
Okay, so they are worried about the real actions, perhaps, which may be reflecting in real life here. Advaita Kala, we have seen this, pattern repeatedly, films based on real events provoke strong reactions from neighboring countries. Why do cinematic portrayals trigger such intense diplomatic and political pushback?
Well, coming to China again, remember China has invested billions of dollars in Hollywood. And there have been many instances when, because of that investment and in studios, in productions, in casting, they have actually, determined plots, how plot turns take place, what casting is there, because they have a huge market for, Hollywood films. As a result, they've been extremely aggressive when it comes to Hollywood. You've seen nominations for Chinese actors in the Oscars and things of that nature. So this is China works to a plan, and being a dictatorial country, there is certainly, its hold on propaganda within its own borders is very strong. It's not like they don't make nationalist films, they do. But they want to exercise that control in other arenas as well. And they recognize that, like Hollywood, of course, has a larger scale. The Indian film industry also is influential. And since they can't buy into the Indian film industry the way that they have into Hollywood, because Hollywood is pure capitalism, right? Money walks and talks. In India, they've not been able to do that. I remember about 10 years ago, there was a lot of noise in the industry about, China wanting to do co-production deals, and all of those kind of things were going on. Some big production houses were even collaborating with them. It didn't quite go anywhere, but there was this attempt to do that. And that was a way of, this is today, in today's time and age, there is the narrative war and there is the war on the ground. And China is adept at the narrative war more than the war on the ground, because let's be honest, we have a martyr out of the Galwan clash, and our soldiers held their line. And that doesn't agree with China's narrative. But it's our narrative to tell, our grief to share, and we're going to do it.
Yes, so L. Ravichandar, is the fear that an alternative version of events, or perhaps the correct version of events, could gain wider acceptance? And that is the reason why China is paying such close attention to how an Indian film portrays the Galwan incident.
Two things. First, let's not convert this whole thing into a China bashing platform without having any one of them representing their thought process. One. Two, I think Advaita was right when she said that our influence globally is probably next only to Hollywood. And while China is trying to get its foot into the market there, it's not so easy to do it here. But don't forget, films of Amir Khan, Rajinikanth have done very well in China. That's another part of the story. Now, if China is reacting very sharply, while the patriot in me will stand up and say, oh, China, shut up, we must also understand this fact that our versions of history are congenitally suspect. Now, let's look at, we talk about enmity, we don't want it with a foreign country. It's like, how tolerant are we to differences of opinion within the country? How often has our cinema withstood difference of opinion within the country on historic events? Have we made an honest biopic in this country in the last 50 years? From Tufan Singh, why did we ban Tufan Singh 2017? What happened to Muthu Pulia in about Sri Lanka? So we are also playing Big Brother in certain places. Our constant political bashing with certain neighbors raises serious credibility on our artistic capacity. You know, today the theme of Indian cinema, हम घुसेंगे, हम घुस के मारेंगे, हम घुसेंगे ही नहीं मारेंगे भी, is all a kind of a narrative. And I'm sure a neighboring country, for whatever it's worth, is voicing an opinion saying this is not the right version. And I think the Indian government is right in saying this is my version, this is art, merely because Indian government is also entitled to have a double speak with China. After all, this is about foreign affairs. And therefore, notwithstanding the fact that China is crying hoarse, I think it is also time for India to understand that if you're making a film with some historic resemblances, let us have a basic commitment to fact and truth. Now, are these facts and truth or not? I'm not going to I have no clue about the movie.
Okay, Advaita, will you respond to that, and then I bring in Lieutenant General Kulkarni?
I think, it's important to recognize the fact that nations do like to hear their own stories.
Yes.
And there is an emotional appeal as well as an intellectual appeal of those kind of stories. Now, it doesn't necessarily, now films are not documentaries, right? So there will be a certain element of embellishment, there will be dramatization. All of these things are going to take place, and that's what we call creative license. Now, China may not be very familiar with that, considering, the kind of governance they have and the way they treat their creatives, if I may put it that way. In India, of course, it's been up and down. We have had governments across our time post-independence who've played Big Brother to films. That has been compromised in the past. We certainly don't hold a good record on that front, but it's not as bad as China, and it will never be as bad as China. So I think taking lessons on creative freedom from China is really laughable. And I'm glad that the government responded. And I encourage them to respond in this way on all films. And because we have a certification process, and that certification process should be enough, in my opinion. But there you have, unless it's causing hate and all of those other things. But here you have it, there are going to be some holy cows. You're not going to have a biography of Mahatma Gandhi, for example, based on things that we've learned about his life. So these are things that we don't touch in practice. And you may argue, should we go into those areas or not go into those areas? But I think as a society, we've sort of decided that we're not going to go there. So there you have it.
So, Lieutenant General Kulkarni, could films like Dhurandhar and this one, Battle for Galwan, reshape how future military and strategic events are told, not just in cinema, but also in public discourse?
Two, three things emerge. First and foremost, a picture is worth 10,000 words. There's so many things that not many people would know what actually happened at Galwan. You're only seeing a small little trailer. We haven't seen the movie, which will be released only in April 2026. I understand there is a huge, screaming and crying in China that they also need to take out a movie called The Heroes of the Galwan Valley, and they also seem to have taken out some small little trailer wanting to show. All said and done, the Chinese today are, and surely, Salman is a huge crowd puller. So when he's playing Babu on the screen, obviously everybody would rush to see what exactly has happened. So he has his following. The movie will show maybe a little bit of, I have not seen the movie, and I've seen the trailer. But notwithstanding all that, it would definitely be shown in more or less in the correct perspective because it requires, rightly brought out, it has certification. It won't be just shown without being screened because obviously so many things have got to be, whether the uniforms are in order, whether it's depicting the Indian army, what's happened, and really in sequence, if the flag meeting took place in the morning where Babu was present, and Colonel Babu himself went there in the evening later to see what exactly what the Chinese had done after what they discussed during the flag meeting. So I personally would feel that yes, the Chinese are nervous, not for the people, because they know that the only thing, many times during my flag meeting with them, they would tell me, can you control your media? Can you control your media? The Chinese are very, very scared, very apprehensive in the Indian media. If there's something that they would rather control, is the Indian media, that which they can't. And that's the problem. We tell them that we can't. There's nothing. It's absolutely freedom. It's a democracy.
But given the kind of influence, as Advaita was pointing out, that they enjoy in Hollywood, there could be a counter to this movie. Telling their side of what they see as their victory.
See, that is okay. Let them take out their version. But you cannot weaponize the kind of influence that they intend to have in Hollywood. Maybe, that's the kind of weaponization. When if you don't do this, I will not buy your movie. I won't let them get screened over here. All that kind of a thing. Chinese are known to put that kind of a pressure. That's okay. Let them do. Let them take out a movie, their version.
Then as Mr. Ravichandra was pointing out, this is also in some way weaponization, which is being done by Bollywood here, of India's version.
No, see, cinemas are always like that. Cinema means this is our version, isn't it?
This is our version.
Chinese
Okay. I have just enough time for the final comments. Mr. Ravichandra, 30 seconds and then the last word to the women on the panel.
Well, all the best, India government. You have not only a cinema to deal with, you've also got to deal with some external affairs. And believe you me, this is tightrope walking.
Okay, some tightrope walking, but if you have a neighbor issue as geographical disadvantage as India has with LOC and LAC, two neighbors in Pakistan and China that you have had a history of war with, where does the cinema fit in then, Advaita?
I think I would suggest to the Chinese to get, to engage in more open cultural exchanges to understand what our philosophy is when it comes to creative freedom and how that should not be taken as a personal affront to China. And we make stories on all kinds of subjects. This happens to be one of those subjects. And in fact, I think this kind of ire from their end is only going to popularize the film. So someone needs to advise them that in India, the more controversy a film gets, the bigger it becomes and the bigger opening it has. So what they're doing inadvertently is really promoting the film in a way that no film so far has been promoted by a foreign government. So I think they need good advice. They need to open their doors to cultural exchange, to understand us as creatives, and we're open to understanding them. We're both ancient civilizations, and I'm sure there's a lot we can do together.
All right. Advaita Kala, pleasure having you on my show. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni and L. Ravichandra, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.